Right, let's see if I can go live like this instead. The YouTube live is not working, so I hope you can hear me, and we're going to be pretty ad hoc about this because I have got baby monitor here, I've got laptop here with horoscope notes, and yeah, we're just going to try our best. I think the baby's literally just woken up, so I might have to come back in a second. I will go live again, but we're just going to give it a go. It's Mercury retrograde. It's also Mercury cazimi, literally in the last hour, which should be a really positive thing for this. But as I'm learning, you can't just jump onto YouTube and go live. You have to wait 24 hours to have some sort of, I don't know, magical fairy come down and chuck glitter all over your YouTube account, and then you can go live, apparently. So anyway, learning lots. And I will do anything to get out of wrapping Christmas presents, let's be honest. That might be really why I'm here. So I'm just checking the baby monitor. I think he has gone back to sleep. So we're going to try and jump into this, and I will just keep coming back until we are done with the horoscopes. So happy solstice to everybody for the early hours of this morning. If you're in the UK, it was around about kind of 3:30. And the solstice is literally just when the sun moves into the sign of Capricorn, and we get the shortest amount of daylight hours, and it's almost like a new moon moment, because it's this rebirth moment of anticipating that the light's going to come back again, and you know, light is increasing after this kind of dark period. However, it doesn't really feel like the light is increasing. Well, it might feel like energy is increasing, but it might not necessarily feel like, I've just realised I've got like 3 devices here connected to the internet. This is not good for a connection anyway. If I go out, I'll come back. Yeah, so we don't really start to see the light increasing until around about early February. Definitely where I live in the UK anyway, might be different for where you are on the planet. But yeah, that's really when, you know, around about Imbolc, that's really when we start to actually see the light increasing as well. But the magical thing about the solstice and about Capricorn season, and about the fact that we've had a Mercury cazimi happen on this solstice, or so close to the solstice, feels really magical and really rare, and a real emphasis of this seeding point that we're kind of over the hump of the darkest part of the year, and that Capricorn is all about this cardinal earth energy. So what are we bringing into the future? What are we building on? What are we trying to manifest and bring into our physical reality over the coming year? It's a bit like a new year moment, really. And yeah, I love Capricorn energy, but maybe that's because I've got a bunch of Capricorn in my chart. I know other people find it's got this kind of you know, this kind of bad reputation for being a bit boring, or a bit work hard, or a bit kind of work obsessed. And whilst I don't necessarily disagree with all of those, I do feel like and I have seen from lots of Capricorn people in my life, or, you know, people that have strong Capricorn in their chart, or from clients' charts with a lot of Capricorn, there's this real urge to kind of bring something new, start something new, build something new, and really kind of birth something new into the world. And let's not forget that Capricorn is a feminine sign. It's an earth sign, and it has this real kind of birthing quality to it, and it has longevity to it as well. So unlike perhaps one of the other cardinal signs, Aries, which has this real initiatory energy to it, you know, it likes to begin things. It doesn't necessarily like to see things through to the end. I will calm down in a minute, and my speaking will slow down a little bit, hopefully. But yeah, whereas Capricorn, it's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn likes to honour the process of time and see things through to completion. And there's a sense of longevity to it as well. It's not just like, okay, finished, done, checked off the list. It's like, how can we bring a legacy about in the material world, and that's something so magical about the sign of Capricorn. So that's a little bit about the solstice, and we are here tonight to talk about the Cancer full moon that's coming up it's actually on the 27th of December here in the UK, in the early hours of the morning. It's around about kind of midnight, so it's very close to the 26th. So it's not quite Boxing Day, it's just after. But I like the Cancer full moon for the fact that this time of year, quite a few people are surrounded by family or spending time with loved ones, or we are kind of being very reflective, which is a very kind of lunar activity, and not forgetting that Cancer is ruled by the moon. So it is a very lunar sign, and we're being very reflective. We're thinking back over the past 12 months, perhaps. We're perhaps thinking back even further than that, because it's just naturally a reflective time of the year. And, Cancer is very nostalgic. It likes to spend time with family. It's very nurturing. It's kind of like, how can we get together and look after each other? And kind of, it's got this mother duck kind of energy, like, come here, let me give you a hug. Let me give you another mince pie. Let me make you a hot cup of tea. Let me kind of give you a warm blanket if you're cold. It's all of these kind of nurturing activities. And so when we get a full moon in the sign of the moon, this is a really magical one. I remember a full moon, gosh, was it back in like 2020 perhaps? And this full moon was in January, and this year it's in December, and it's just like, God, that's crazy. And it was such a nice energy to start the new year on back then. And so I think there's this extra emphasis because it's happening now. It's almost like this new year energy. It's matching up with that solstice energy that we were just talking about a little while ago. And we've got this sense of newness and this sense of just feeling at home, feeling into our bodies, feeling into our emotions, and trying to just kind of harness that and go with the flow. Obviously, it isn't always necessarily completely rosy. The full moon is always a time of a complete bright moonlight shining on our emotions. And Cancer is, being ruled by the moon, it can be changeable. So it can go kind of up and down. The moon changes sign every 2.5 days roughly. And so if you track the moon in your birth chart, or if you just track the moon on a daily basis through the sky, you see how quickly it moves and how quickly it changes. It goes through every sign of the zodiac in a month. So we kind of get to see the moon in every single sign, 12 times in a month, and then over the 12 months of the year as well. What is that like? I'm not going to start doing the maths, like 144 or something. So many moon phases and moon signs that we get to like try on all these different emotional energies over the years and over the months. And so when we get a full moon in Cancer, it's like, here, have some emotions. Like, you can deal with all of that now. And sometimes it can feel a little bit overwhelming. Sometimes the thing that I really like about this, because it is ruled by the moon, is that it can feel transient. So in the moment, it can feel overwhelming and, everything's too much. And to be fair, around this time of the year, things can feel a little bit like that anyway. Because there's just a lot of expectation. There's a lot of, family expectation of children and parenting and all of these things that can suddenly and quite easily, just kind of bring on a tidal wave of just like overwhelm, basically. But it also moves on quite quickly. And in a couple of days' time, the moon will be in Leo, which is really fun-loving and quite, this kind of like hustle and bustle and this fire and passion and creativity for that kind of strange dark time between Christmas and New Year that we like to try and fill with something but never quite sure what to do with. Well, I don't know about you guys, but that's definitely, hi, thank you for joining. It's really lovely to see you all. I'm trying to ignore the comments because I just panic about this, but it's really nice. I'm starting to see people join in now. So thank you so much for coming along. It's just, it's very lunar, it's very exciting. but it can be overwhelming. So maybe just try and take a little bit of time to yourself if you can, just to do some breathing or some meditation. Candle gazing is this one that I've been learning about recently, just staring into the flame and just focusing on the flame, and that's all that you're doing in that moment. And just trying to kind of bring yourself back down from the overwhelm that can be kind of everyday life, just in general, but particularly at this time of the year, it can be extra. Oh, thank you so much. You're a natural. Yeah, the Christmas tree helps. I'm just trying to like add some pretty things in, and my moon necklace from Louise at Phoenix Feathers Art. I thought I'll just keep on that nice little talisman. So we're going to do the horoscopes from rising signs. So if you know your rising or your ascendant sign, then go with that, because it will put the full moon in the correct life area or the house, birth chart house. So it will be, it will probably make more sense. However, you can look at your sun or your moon sign as well, and it may still have, you know, a little bit of a connection as well. But to get the most from these horoscopes, look at your rising sign. So the really nice thing about this full moon as well is that it's actually got some quite nice aspects. I'm looking at my laptop over here, which I now can't do this live from, so excuse me from looking away. Yeah, we have got a sextile aspect from this full moon in Cancer to Jupiter in Taurus, which is a benefic planet, which means it's beneficial, it's optimistic, it's jovial. And in the sign of Taurus, that's earthy, that's feminine. Again, you know, like the Cancer, the Capricorn solstice is another feminine sign. So there's a lot of feminine energy at this time, really creative, very good at being inner to try and create for this more kind of outer solar expression that we would have more at the summer solstice in 6 months' time. That is a lot of S's and T's to say in one sentence. Yeah, so we've got a sextile aspect to Jupiter and Taurus. Really nice. Sextile aspects are really positive aspects. They have this Venusian nature, or the nature of the planet of Venus, and Venus also rules the sign of Taurus. So we've got the moon and Venus working together here, which is really beautiful for anything creative, anything social, anything to do with women in your life. Again, anything kind of, you know, to do with feminine energy, you know, if you're taking part in your like women's circle or something like that. I just assume that everybody's part of a women's circle now, because I am, and it's just literally the best thing in my whole life. Yeah, like if you're at all interested in joining a circle, check out Emily from Nourish Yoga on here, because she holds the most beautiful women's circle and the most supportive WhatsApp group I have ever been a part of. I feel like I just want to take all the women from around the world that I am friends with and say, you know, come along and let's all just share in this community, because it's so supportive and it's just the most nourishing and kind of holding safe space to be a part of this kind of group of women. The power in that group is just, you know, just beyond anything that I can describe. It's really amazing. And Taurus is also connected to finances, anything to do with nature. So getting outside during this full moon, you know, classic like Boxing Day walk on the beach, going for a walk in the woods, something like that. Really nourishing and really soulful at this time. And because we're thinking about Cancer, the full moon in Cancer, you know, it's going to be, the moon is connected to the body. It rules the whole of the body. It rules, you know, the ovaries and the stomach and the breasts. And so it's really nourishing and positive for us to kind of get outside into nature and kind of see, what do I feel whilst I'm out here? You know, how am I feeling? If I can make it to the sea, then fantastic, because I'm connecting with water. I'm literally connecting to the lunar cycle, but in this physical sense that I can see the tides kind of coming in and going out, the waves, sorry, coming in and going out, and that the moon is ruling all of that. And at the same time, it's ruling kind of all of us as well. You know, it has this really strong power over us. And because it's connecting with Taurus as well, you know, it's excuse me, it's very much about the physical. You know, how is your body feeling? Listening to your body. You know, what is my body telling me at this time? Have I overindulged? Have I not given myself enough indulgence? Am I feeling depleted? Am I feeling full of energy? You know, how am I feeling? And just reflecting on that. Whilst you're out in nature, whilst you're by the sea, whilst you're taking a bath, whilst you're, walking at a river, something like that, just in any way connecting to water and drinking plenty of water as well. Thinking about hydration, another really good thing to do with this full moon. And then it's also trine to Saturn in Pisces. So a trine is another powerful supportive aspect. And it's the nature of Jupiter, so another beneficial planet. So we've got the two beneficial planets, Jupiter and Venus, working together with this full moon in Cancer, and really bringing in just feeling quite good, instead of feeling, horrifically overwhelmed. Hopefully this is more of a kind of embracing emotion instead of trying to ignore it. And Saturn in Pisces also being about, Pisces is also ruled by Jupiter. So Taurus ruled by Venus, Pisces ruled by Jupiter. Again, these two beneficial planets really helping us out at this full moon. So we'll jump into the horoscopes now, otherwise I might lose my voice. So Aries rising, the Cancer full moon will be in your 4th house, and Jupiter and Taurus will be in your 2nd house. And so here we're thinking about the roots, we're thinking about family, we're thinking about home. This can be the living environment, this can be the physical home. And we're also thinking potentially about father energy, but really predominant caregiver can turn up in the 4th house as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be father, it can be mother as well, or grandparents. And we're thinking about ancestors, and we're thinking about tribe as well, and connecting that to the 2nd house of personal resources. So this can be financial, this can be anything around how you earn your own money, and how you bring your material reality into physical manifestation. But the 2nd house is also really connected to our own opinion of ourselves and our sense of self-worth as well. So, how when there's a full moon that's kind of igniting these two parts of our chart, we're thinking about, is my sense of self, tied up with, how my family behave and how I was brought up, and this kind of family structure, and that, the way that I earn my money, it's really important that, I do the job that my parents wanted me to do. But, is it really making me happy? Perhaps with these positive aspects to Jupiter and Venus, it really is I'm really grateful that I kind of took that path. Or it could just be saying, it's just time to kind of take your financial self seriously, that you can do this, and also your home life seriously as well, and your family unit seriously, and just really enjoying time with family as well, and enjoying the kind of fruits of your labour as well could be a really nice one for Aries rising. Taurus rising, this Cancer full moon is in your 3rd house. So if you've just joined, I'm just looking at my laptop over here, which I can't do the live from, so I'm looking I've got the live stream here and the notes here. Taurus rising, Cancer full moon in your 3rd house of siblings. Again, it's connected to living environment, but in a different kind of way. This is your neighbours, this is your local kind of shop workers, this is your local post office, your laundrette, the places that you go on a daily basis, driving about in your car, cycling around on your bike, these kinds of activities. But it's also siblings, cousins, aunts and uncles, and living environments. If you've had to move house recently, or if you're on the brink of moving house, then Taurus risings, this could be a big kind of moment in that puzzle of making that house move happen. Perhaps you finally had some kind of confirmation from, the moving van people that, you've got a date to actually go ahead, the date you can put in the diary to actually go ahead and move house. And then Jupiter in Taurus is going to be in your 1st house. And so this is really invigorating for your sense of self and your own psychology. And you may even find that because of everything that's happening in your living environment, or perhaps with your siblings, or anything to do with learning and information, that actually you're feeling like your sense of spiritual self and your spiritual quest is really, going on this sort of trajectory. Why do I choose the words I can't say? Trajectory that you are really feeling like is going to encourage and support your natural sense of wonder and awe and excitement. And Jupiter in Taurus has been in your first house for the last kind of 6 months anyway, and it's going to be there for about another 6 months. And the exciting, so basically, like, this isn't the first time that you are kind of getting a sense that your spiritual self is becoming awakened. Also, when you have Jupiter in the first house, this can be a time when your physical body is actually changing, and you can perhaps feel that your cheeks are slightly more plump, or that your stomach's slightly fuller. Perhaps if you're pregnant, then your tummy's beginning to show. It's that kind of thing. Or perhaps you've been doing weights at the gym and you're feeling stronger, and your muscles are kind of really starting to kind of bulge now, because you've been putting in all of that kind of solid Taurus time and effort into kind of building this thing that you're really seeking, which could be, increased strength, especially after Jupiter in Taurus goes direct. I think that's New Year's Eve. Yeah, in about a week's time. Jupiter's really kind of amped up at this moment. So anything spiritual and anything to do with expansive, horizons, spirituality, teachers, these sorts of things are kind of well favoured by this full moon. Gemini rising, the Cancer full moon will be in your second house of, again, self-worth, personal finances. This can also be connected to the kinds of things that we like to kind of buy ourselves. And so if you have got, we're on Gemini, aren't we? I can't tick it because it's on the laptop. The kinds of things we buy ourselves. So if you've got moon in the second house, then the things that you buy yourself might be that sometimes you're really kind of restricted, because we're kind of tracking the moon and how changeable it is. Sometimes you will only buy yourself, the cheapest thing and the most frugal thing. And then other times you're like, no, the moon's in Leo and I'm going to fully splurge here, and I'm going to go all out, and I'm going to buy the really shiny thing and the really quality thing. That's really what I want in my life. And so, for Gemini risings, I quite like this one for, just kind of having a bit of a splurge, and, perhaps buying that thing you've been really looking forward to. Perhaps you've got some money, for the festive season, and now is the chance that you can actually celebrate and go out there and buy the thing. And then with Jupiter in Taurus in your 12th house, the 12th house is this place that is sometimes difficult to access. It's kind of known as the blind spot. So perhaps this full moon is really kind of giving you an access point into what that is, and how it is that nature has this, really powerful impact on you, perhaps, but that you don't allow yourself enough time to kind of actually get out there and, connect with it. And perhaps you're like constantly researching, almost like building a scrapbook with ideas of like my dream garden, because Taurus is this fixed earth sign, my dream garden, my dream home, my dream job, my dream finances. But you find it kind of almost too difficult to access it, because it is this 12th house place that is just really difficult for us to kind of see ourselves, but other people can really see it quite clearly sometimes. So it might be a really good time to have a discussion with friends or family, possibly family more so, because Cancer being so connected to the family. And this full moonlight, just being that moment where you're like, okay, give it to me straight, like, what is it that, how do you see me being able to kind of action, bringing this kind of dream garden into reality, that kind of thing. And then Cancer rising, this Cancer full moon will be in your first house, with Jupiter and Taurus in your 11th house. And so, the full moonlight in your first house, this is very connected to how are you feeling psychologically, how are you feeling about your physical body, what's it telling you. When you've got a full moon in your first house, we're really paying attention to what are the energies that we can feel flowing kind of through our veins, what are the kind of water levels in our bodies? Are we hydrated enough? Again, as I was saying earlier, hydration is a key thing. Yeah, and what are we thinking about? Can we connect anything about how we're feeling physically back to 6 months ago when there was a new moon in Cancer, when we would have been sowing the seeds at that new moon in Cancer back in the summer months in the northern hemisphere, winter months in the southern hemisphere, and how can we see, you know, whatever those kind of first house things were. Maybe it was a new fitness regime, maybe it was something to do with your health, maybe you're trying new foods, a new diet, maybe you are trying meditation for the first time. That's something I keep talking about all the time at the moment. I'm like, meditation is my word for 2024. Something to support your physical vitality and your mental vitality and your kind of spiritual health and your psychology. You know, where are you at, this checking in point? Where are you at with all of that right now? And how, with transiting Jupiter in your 11th house, how are your friends, your allies, your support networks, your personal cheerleaders up there in the 11th house? How are they all able to give you extra information about that and perhaps impart some of their wisdom to you, and encourage and support you to help really kind of lift your vitality and your kind of inner force, as it were. And then we've got, I was about to do a touch screen there, that's not going to work because it's a laptop, hang on. Okay, so then we've got Leo rising, Cancer full moon in your 12th house with Jupiter in Taurus in your 10th house. So again, for Leo risings, the 12th house is that part of the birth chart that is quite tricky to access, because it's this kind of, it's this house that kind of can see us away from society. Perhaps we're just not feeling quite so good at the moment. Perhaps we need a little bit of downtime, just a little bit more time to stay in bed all day long. Oh my gosh, how heavenly would that be? And just do a little bit of rest and recuperation. The 12th house is very much a house of faith and surrender and trust. So if you're feeling, Leo risings, like everything's feeling a little bit overwhelming and a bit much, you know, take a breath and do something creative, nourish that Leo spirit that really needs to kind of shine bright somehow. So if that's through being creative with colourful artwork, then, you know, nourish yourself and get into doing that artwork. If it's performing in front of people, then get out and tell some jokes and spend some time with friends, socialise. You know, Leo is a very sociable sign anyway. So when there's a full moon in your 12th house, you know, perhaps you do just really need to nourish that sociable side of yourself, because the full moon in the 12th house can sometimes feel a little bit tricky because it's sometimes a bit tricky to see, and that's why there's this sense of kind of faith and surrender that everything will be all right, and just nourish that Leo spirit within you. And then with Jupiter in Taurus in your 10th house, there's something here connecting to your career and what you're known for, and you know, having Taurus in the 10th house is typically quite good for financial things. So are you well known for being good with finances? Are you have you been really building up to a promotion, and now at this full moon you're kind of right on the edge of perhaps getting that promotion? I could definitely see that for a few Leo risings. You know, I'm thinking about my toddler now, who's sort of 2.5, just over 2.5. So he's not going for a promotion at work, but he is massively kind of going on this promotion of, you know, gaining much more language and being more confident and more acrobatic and more creative even. And all of those things are really kind of like shining through at this time. So it's kind of like, it's lots of achievements and successes really kind of being, you know, celebrated at this time for Leo risings. Virgo risings, the Cancer moon will be in your 11th house of friends, personal cheerleaders, you know, helpful, encouraging people in your life that just want to see you succeed and do well. And Jupiter in Taurus will be in your 9th house of spirituality, higher learning, dreams, astrology as well. So there could be a real connection here between you know, like working with the moon and in a spiritual sense, you know, perhaps you're really getting into this idea of like tracking the moon cycles every month. And I should have really brought in a glass of water, but I didn't. That was silly. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Baby's not woken up yet, maybe when he wakes up. Yeah, perhaps you've been tracking moon cycles, getting to grips with those, and you're kind of sharing some of that knowledge now in a group setting. And again, it could be a kind of women's group setting. And I really like that one for Virgo risings. Yeah, and just knowing the kind of value that spirituality holds is really important, I think, for Virgo risings at the moment, because when you've got Taurus in the ninth house, there's a real sense of, you know, it's a fixed earth sign. So there's a real sense of like, what am I holding on to here that is for the long term, that I don't see changing. I only see it growing and becoming better and enriching my life kind of over the whole course of my life. It's not like a transient thing. Things are only going to improve when I'm nourishing that ninth house. And again, spending time in nature to really connect to your sense of spirituality. Also another really good activity to take part in during the Cancer full moon between Christmas and New Year. Libra risings, the Cancer full moon will be in your 10th house, and Jupiter in Taurus will be in your 8th house. And so, oh, yay, hi. So my Virgo rising friend, yes, Kate, you have just come on. This is awesome. Yeah, and your circle's totally inspired that horoscope. And I've got your chart here somewhere, and I'm totally going to go back to that because I said that I would. But even if you're not here, I'm still going to record it, and you can come back and look at it later. But back to Libra risings for a second. So the Cancer full moon will be in your 10th house of career and successes and achievements. And then Jupiter in Taurus will be in your 8th house of other people's resources. This could be potentially where you've been trying to get a loan, borrow some money from somebody, and that's now coming through. And there's some kind of material support which can help you with your career. So, you know, perhaps you're trying to get a new business off the ground. And that's really, you know, now kind of culminating at this point. At the end of the year, you can kind of start the new year with a bang because you know that you've got those finances in place. Or perhaps because we've still got in Mercury retrograde at the moment, perhaps it's a reworking. Perhaps you don't get approved for the loan the first time, but the bank kind of say to you, or your friends say to you, actually, if you can just kind of reread through some of these details and re-sign, then we can get everything moving again after New Year. And so it's like, it's not a no, perhaps it's just a pause before you can kind of flourish and kind of go like full steam ahead in 2024 with anything to do with career. The 10th house is also connected to our children, and if you're married or in a long-term partnership, then it can be also connected to that, and just that you're kind of being recognised as a couple, or that you're being recognised for being a parent at this time as well. That's another thing, because the 10th house is at the absolute top of the chart, so it's just like the most public place. So all of the things that we're known for just kind of sitting right up there, shining bright in the Cancer full moon light. And yeah, again, connected to family because it's a sign of Cancer. Scorpio risings, I always miss you. I'm going to not miss you this time. I'm trying methodically to make sure that I get everybody in. So Scorpio risings, the Cancer full moon will be in your 9th house of dreams, higher learning, higher education, long distance travel sometimes, spirituality, astrology. And Jupiter in Taurus is in your 7th house of one-to-one relationships, committed partnerships. But this is also, you know, if you work with people on a one-to-one basis, like a psychologist might, or like an astrologer might, then this can be a really powerful time to just be kind of booking in some new, you know, some new client sessions for the beginning of next year. Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely kind of something around, you know, what your kind of spiritual activities are and how they impact significant people in your life. So it can be that, you know, perhaps your partner is kind of taking on more of a kind of spiritual quest at this time. Perhaps your partner is taking on more of a financial responsibility at this time, or perhaps your partner is, you know, working out in the woods at this time. Taurus can be so varied in its expression. But yeah, thinking of that fixed earth sign of Taurus, and it's feminine as well. Oh, some like drunk people walking past the house. I don't know if that gets picked up in the audio. Yeah, and just thinking about that kind of that spirituality and partnership piece in your own life, and just kind of seeing the full picture of how those things either work together or don't necessarily work together, might need a bit of tweaking, or perhaps you're even finding that you're taking your partner along to you know, like, I don't know, a spiritual meeting, or perhaps you're reading the same spiritual book, something like that, and suddenly it's like, you know, you're both kind of really appreciating this kind of deeper sense of connection because you're sharing about your spiritual journeys together. Sagittarius, this Cancer full moon will be in your 8th house of other people's resources. This can be debts, but it can also be where money just kind of lands in your lap. So material resources kind of showing up unexpectedly. With Jupiter, so when you're a Sagittarius, Jupiter is your chart ruler, as it is for Pisces as well. Jupiter is a big deal for you, and so therefore it means that with Jupiter in Taurus in your 6th house, the 6th house has been a big kind of area of play for you over the last 6 months. So there won't kind of be anything probably particularly new in this area, but it will just be a sense of kind of like getting those roots in deeper into that 6th house. And so the 6th house is very much about daily routines. It's about health. You know, how are you looking after yourself? Are you thinking, don't really like talking about New Year's resolutions because there's so much pressure on that, but are you thinking about, you know, how do I want to be looking at my physical health over the next few months? Do I want to be, you know, trying perhaps something to do with food, things that make, trying like, you know, keeping a food diary. What makes me feel good and after I've eaten it, and what makes me feel kind of not so good after I've eaten it, and maybe I want to kind of take this one out and put more of this one in, or, you know, maybe I want to take up a new exercise regime. Maybe I want to start cold water dipping, which is just like, oh my gosh, I love following all of you cold water dippers on here because it's just so inspiring and it seems to be so good for body, mind and soul. And Sagittarius risings, you know, you'd be well up for that. It's like jovial Jupiter spirit, like, yeah, let's give it a go and give it a try. So I could see yeah, just being able to spend kind of more time looking at your health and your daily routines and the kind of tiny details, tweaking things. That's why I say, you know, looking at keeping a food diary perhaps, because the 6th house is kind of like about keeping those details, very exacting details where you tweak a little something and the rest of your health kind of suddenly really, you know, goes in a kind of positive upward motion, and you're starting to really feel kind of vitalized from making small changes. Yeah, and a full moon in the 8th house can also shine a light around anything to do with, like I said, other people's resources, but it's also the house of, you know, the occult, and sometimes where we kind of think about, you know, some of those kind of deeper fears and things that we kind of like worry about, and so don't be kind of surprised that around about the full moon, if you're starting to just feel a little bit like, you know, questioning of some of the things that you're doing or some of the things that you've experienced in your past, because the 8th house is kind of quite connected to the past, and remembering, but you know, the gem here comes from this 6th house thing of paying attention to not necessarily the fun everyday activities, but the kind of the monotonous daily activities that are helping to support you, and the way that your body is feeling. And we're thinking about, you know, encouraging that to rise up and kind of feel more vital at this time, and so kind of feel those fears, that expression, feel the fear and do it anyway, that kind of thing seems really key to Sagittarius rising. Capricorn rising, the full moon will be in your 7th house of one-to-one relationships. So this could be something all completely to do with your partner instead of yourself, and how we learn about ourselves through watching our partner kind of go through things, or try new things. With Jupiter and Taurus in the 5th house of children, fun, creativity, romance. And so I really like this one. When I was doing the notes for this, I was like, Capricorn risings, I really like this one for you. And, you know, especially with the solstice having just happened as well in Capricorn, there's a real new beginning moment for you guys. And we're thinking about, you know, if you wanted to get into working on a one-to-one basis with other people, this would be a really good time to kind of just start sowing those seeds. And also thinking about how can I incorporate fun into this one-to-one work, or how can I incorporate more fun into my marriage, into my partnership, into my kind of close friendships with other people I spend a lot of time with on a one-to-one basis. You know, that friend that you kind of text on daily or weekly basis, that sits there in your WhatsApp, and every time you get a message from them, you're just like, oh God, I can just breathe, because I know that whatever's in that message is going to be fully supportive of who I am, and it's going to be like this reflection back, but it's also going to be helping me to kind of grow and, you know, become the best version of myself. Very kind of Jupiter theme, this idea of like positivity and expansion. And again, this kind of spiritual connection, sharing spirituality with your partner. If you don't have a partner, with a close friend, sharing spirituality with clients, and really bringing this sense of fun and creativity. You know, and also if you're pregnant, then this could be a particularly enjoyable time, you know, when Jupiter's in your 5th house. Perhaps you're just in that sweet spot of the 2nd trimester, and everything's kind of flowing, and you're feeling good, and you're feeling kind of like you're glowing, and you're not in you know, the morning sickness phase anymore. Perhaps the morning sickness has finally gone, and you're like, oh God, I can just enjoy being a pregnant woman. I can still move around because my bump's kind of fairly small, and I'm just going to really enjoy this creative time, this real growing of creativity within my tummy. Yeah, especially with the full moon being in Cancer and being so connected to kind of the tummy and the breasts. And then we've got Aquarius rising. The Cancer full moon will be in your 6th house of daily routines and health. And then we've got Jupiter and Taurus in your 4th house of family, lineage, tribe, home, the kind of bricks and mortar that surround you. And so full moon in the 6th house is definitely, you know, if you've had any health concerns, or if you've been you know, trying something new to kind of support your health, and it's been a bit boring, but you've been sticking to it and you've been doing it on a regular basis. So again, it could be you know, trying not having caffeine for the last 6 months, or maybe you've massively decreased the caffeine and you started drinking more water, and you're just feeling like actually that kind of new routine that I kind of began back in the summer is really kind of paying off now, with Jupiter and Taurus in your 4th house. And you're able to either share some of that knowledge with your family and friends and your kind of lineage, or you're perhaps even able to kind of create a lasting change for those people that you really care about in your life. You know, so like parents, for example, grandparents, aunts, uncles, anybody that lives in the 4th house is definitely connected to this kind of long-term tribe. So it doesn't have to be blood family, but people that you really consider to be like your people. Perhaps they're really inspired by the way that you've been kind of sticking to these new routines. Maybe they're inspired by the fact that even though you don't want to, you get up every day and you walk the dog through, you know, sun, rain, snow, high winds, all of that kind of stuff. And it inspires them to, you know, perhaps get a dog, and now you've got a partner to go walking with each time you go out, and it just feels a bit more friendly and a bit more sociable as a result of kind of putting the time and effort in over the last 6 months. And then we move to Pisces rising. The Cancer full moon will be in your 5th house of creativity, children, romance, and Jupiter and Taurus in your 3rd house of communication, education, learning, sharing information, just remaining massively curious to the world around you. Siblings and cousins can also live here in the third house, and also living environment. So perhaps there's just more fun to be had at home. Perhaps it's a really nice time to just be like getting out the board games and playing Scrabble with like your kids, or your grandparents, or whoever's around at this time. Perhaps you decide that, what was it I installed, like a word search app on my phone, and me and my son sit there and we do a word search like on a regular basis. And I can't tell you, it's really boring, but like it might sound really boring, but it's really fun. I love doing that. Very third house activity, like, how can I see the patterns in the words and the letters around me? Or playing snakes and ladders, something like that. Just really enjoying communication, and how communication is really feeding your kind of heart and your soul and your creativity. So that is the horoscopes over and done with. And I did promise that I would look at Kate's chart. So I'm just going to pull that up. Yeah, so Kate, I'm going to give you a little mini reading here. So for this Cancer full moon, what did I say? You are a Virgo rising, and so it is going to be in your, what are we here? 11th house of, I didn't say as well that this Cancer full moon is around about 5 degrees of Cancer. So if you are a degree-based aspect person, then 5 degrees of Cancer. If you are ancient Hellenistic astrology, then, whole sign aspects, absolutely fine. So, yeah, full moon in Cancer in your 11th house, which has got your natal Mars in Cancer sitting in there as well. So Mars is always connected to our energy and drive and our passion, and when we're feeling really empowered and enthused, and like there's this kind of like itch that we just can't scratch because we just want to kind of get out there and do it all. And it's in this social setting. So when you were talking earlier about circle, I'm just like, I absolutely love that. This is full moon in your 11th house. This is your time to absolutely be expanding social groups. It's really supportive of, putting energy into friendships, and just kind of building more of your kind of, this is going to sound so Instagram, but building more of your audience, really kind of connecting to those people that really connect with you, and just kind of really putting a lot of time and energy into kind of expanding that. Just be careful of, your own energy levels, because, when you put a lot of time and effort into things, Mars is really encouraging and kind of makes us want to really go for it. But we also, because you've got Mars in Cancer, that's a Mars ruled by the moon. So just really listen to your body at this time. And if you feel like, it feels a bit overwhelming, remember to like dip in that cold plunge and take some time out and just really come back to yourself, which you seem to be so amazing at anyway. I'm just going to read your comment. I feel empowered and full of energy, and I see me running a circle very soon. Yay, that's amazing. It's time, and if you thought about this idea of a circle back in the summer months, then always go back to the cold. Yeah, exactly, Kate, exactly. I've got to do that next year. Meditation and cold dipping, my 2 things for 2024. Yeah, if you were sowing seeds back in the summer months, and we had that big Venus retrograde in Leo, which was right next to your Sun and Mercury as well, so a big reset point for you. And I've been saying to everybody, and I was saying to everybody back in the summer months, that all of the kind of the tweaks and the changes and those big shifts we were all going through on a personal level in the summer months, particularly for people that have strong Leo in their birth charts, as you do, with the Sun and Mercury and the North Node there. Love that. We start to see the fruition and the culmination of things around about Christmas time, and it just seems to be ringing true for so many people that I've been doing readings for. In my own life, I really see this kind of sense of the next chapter, and we're talking about the next chapter being 8 years as well, because that Venus retrograde cycle works in 8-year periods. So we're really thinking about this next phase of our life for the next 8 years, which is really exciting. What is this? speaking it to the real. I was the summer that I said I wanted to hold a space and open a circle. Yeah, amazing. Oh my gosh, yeah, love that. And you're so committed to it as well. I love that. You know, being Virgo rising, you're really committed to getting out there no matter what the weather. And that's just, I love that. Brilliant. And what are we thinking about this sextile to to Jupiter and Taurus in your 9th house? So when, you know, if we're going to go with this kind of idea of opening the circle, it's like all it can do is, again, like I would say, you know, pay attention to your energy levels and looking after yourself. But with this sextile, so really positive Venus aspect, again, we're thinking about Venus, connecting back to that Venus retrograde in the summer. This Venus aspect to your 9th house, it can only expand your spiritual creativity, your spiritual horizons, your dream world. You know, literally, if you keep a dream journal, this will be an amazing time. Like, take note, just write down just a couple of bullet points. I'll tell you what, grab your astrology almanac whilst they're still going, because they are, yeah, very slim on the ground now. But journal in whichever way you do, and just take a few bullet point notes of your dreams at night time, because the 9th house is so connected to dreams, and just see if you can see any patterns in that. Once you've been doing it for about 3 weeks, then just kind of like reflect back and have another little look, or maybe at the next full moon that we have in, it will be in Leo, won't it? Yeah, in Leo. Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps. I love it. The next full moon in Leo that we have kind of late January, maybe that would be a good time to kind of reflect back. You've been keeping a dream journal. Amazing. Keep doing it. I love it. Because you've got Chiron in the 9th house as well, there's so much healing that can come from this experience. I absolutely love that. And think about opening that, you know, that your support networks and your personal cheerleaders can be from all over the place. They don't just have to be, I mean, I don't know how it will work. I don't know if you're doing an in-person circle or an online circle, but don't discount the idea of having an online circle if it's something that you can incorporate into things, because the 9th house is bringing a lot of healing, and the 9th house can be, you know, foreign shores, people from abroad, other cultures kind of coming along to. I finished my course for circle training 22nd of January. Oh my God, Kate, I love it. So for that full moon in Leo, yeah, we've got this full moon completion after that Venus retrograde. I just feel like you're really, yeah, this is going to be your year. You're really taking off. It's so exciting. Yeah, so lots of healing. And did we see anything else? I mean, you've got your moon here. Yeah, that's right. We've got the same moon sign and degree. So your moon at 1 degree of Pisces here, over and in the 7th house. I did check with Kate before, by the way, that it was okay to share her chart, and she said, yes, it's fine. So just so you all know, I wouldn't do this without permission. Yeah, your moon at 1 degree of Pisces. So you've had Saturn on your moon, which is really adding to that sense of dedication to your anything to do with your body, and the way that you are nourishing your physical body, and adding a sense of structure and routine that is really going to kind of pay off in the long run. And it's in the water, you know, Pisces being in the sign of water, just thinking again about you like cold dipping every day, and just really kind of sticking to that, and just really like radiating out how positive an experience that is, and how, you know, long lasting that effect is. And if things have felt kind of difficult at all around, you know, your emotions, or, you know, perhaps you've not been getting enough sleep, or, you know, kind of you've been having like troubled sleep or anything like that, with Saturn on the moon, it can be kind of a bit difficult as well. Anything connected to mothering as well can come up, but that aspect from Saturn is now moving away. So it's still going to be there in the background, but it's just not going to be as intense as it has been. What's this other comment? I don't know if I can read back. Hang on. India's, I wanted a Zoom one and always said I won't have an online one, but tonight I saw it and it was online and it was powerful. Oh yeah, I know. It's like the women's circle I'm a part of is online, and I just love it. I've never known anything else. I've never been in a physical women's circle, and it does so much for me. I literally wouldn't be without it. So there is so much power to be had in the online. Oh, bless you. Thank you. And anything, because you've got your moon in the 7th house as well, and this is yeah, going to be trining this full moon as well. So anything to do with, you know, one-to-one relationships. So this can be marriage partner, long-term partner. This can be close friends, but also one-to-one client work as well. You know, perhaps there's something here that can gradually over time, like I'm just getting excited now, so like just go with me, I'm just being enthusiastic, but you don't have to take it all on at once, so if it's overwhelming, just ignore me. But perhaps over time it can build into something that, you know, is a circle, but you also offer like a one-to-one offering as well, because I definitely wouldn't discount that, and that would be well favoured over the next 2.5 years whilst Saturn is still in Pisces, and really about learning what it is to be in this one-to-one space, and also considering you know, any kind of one-to-one work that you want to take part in. You know, perhaps you're not even hosting it, perhaps you're you've signed up to, what did I do recently, like signed up to a life coach. Absolutely amazing. Again, she's on here, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me mentioning her, Kelly Taberner, I think it's Kelly TLC on here. Amazing life coach. Where you're kind of, I just think it's really important as an astrologer when you work on a one-to-one basis or in groups doing horoscopes, and you're kind of like, you know, potentially giving people advice, or just you know, illuminating certain parts of the birth chart, that you pay attention to your own like psychological well-being, and that you are paying attention to sort of having some of that nourishment back at you as well. So perhaps, you know, signing up for one-to-one sessions of your own, as well as a kind of like a support point for being able to kind of deliver that one-to-one service. It sounds so crappy saying service, but I'm a bit tired and I can't think of the right word, but you know what I mean. Being able to support people on a one-to-one basis. And then is there anything else here? Full moon, 5 degrees of... Okay, so again, Kate, I'm loving this for you. 2024 is your year, because this full moon in Cancer on the 27th of December is squaring your natal Jupiter in Libra, which is then also squaring your natal Saturn in Libra, and Saturn in Libra is known as being exalted, and this is all in your 2nd house of personal resources. So I would expect that the time and the commitment that you put in now, and this sense of, you know, what is it that you're building at the moment, you know, you're building this circle, you're building this safe, empowering, beautiful space for women to be, you know, able to share in together, that it is I was just thinking, like, if you're going to announce it as well, like, I don't know if you're at this point in you know, at this point in the process, but if you're going to announce it, like, you could announce it on the full moon in Cancer. That would just be like, because it's so nurturing and it's so connected to women, and like I said, all of the aspects made are very kind of feminine and powerful and divine. But yeah, even if it's not like an official announcement, but just chucking something in your stories like, I'm going to be doing this, I just feel like that is a really good time to kind of get yourself seen by everybody out there, and attracting in kind of the right kind of people that you want to have in your circle. But yeah, you've got this exalted Saturn in Libra in the 2nd house, and it really feels like this will be supportive in the long term, and, you know, the idea of taking yourself seriously as a kind of spiritual teacher, because your Saturn and your Jupiter are right there next to each other at 6 and 8 degrees of Libra. The more you take yourself seriously, the more that you kind of honour and value spirituality yourself, and honour the fact that you can teach and that you are a natural teacher. You just be such an amazing teacher, so inspiring and, you know, bright and shiny. I can just see it going so well. Yeah, the more that you kind of commit to that and believe that, it's really feels very supportive for your own kind of financial situation, your own sense of self-worth, that kind of true value of, like, you know, just feeling like gold, and, you know, building your own treasure chest full of gold, but also just really believing, you know, in your heart, you know, just that pure gold, Leo sun, allowing it to shine. Yeah, I think that's it. Oh my God, I didn't see all of that before I came on here. That's why I love the idea of going live, because I was just like, let's just see what comes up. Oh my God, my hair is just like everywhere. Anyway, oh my gosh, yes, I need that silk hat. Sorry. Me and Kate were talking about long hair and like what to do with it at night time. And she had this silk hat and she sent me the link. I need the link again because I've lost it. But yeah, I need to get one for Christmas for my stocking because it needs taming. Okay, and I'm not going to get it cut in the Mercury retrograde, although I might just go out tomorrow and get it done. Anyway, but not advisable. Oh my gosh, my voice is going. That was so much fun. I hope that you could take a lot from it. I'm really hoping that when we stop the live, it will, I don't know, upload or save or something like that, and then I can put it onto my feed, and then these horoscopes can be there for everybody to kind of revisit and go back over. Oh my goodness, honestly, that was the best. Totally divine. All them words spoke my soul needed to hear. Oh, and I'll send you the link. Yes, please, thank you. I'm so glad that the words resonated, and it's just been really lovely to connect your chart. That feels like a really exciting time, and I think you're building up to your Uranus opposition if you've not had it already, which is another big, yeah, you are, yeah, 26 degrees of Scorpio, so more big powerful changes around teaching as well because it's in your third house. Anyway, we can talk about that another time, but yes, oh my God, Kate, loving 2024 for you, and loving this full moon for you as well. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go and stop this kind of nest falling out. Thank you so much for joining. If you did, it's really lovely for you all to join. Sorry I couldn't do it on YouTube. I don't know what happened there. But as of, tomorrow night, I should be able to do YouTube lives. Who knew? This is what Mercury retrogrades are for, learning how to use technology. Oh, you're very welcome, Kate. I'm so excited too. Okay, right, I'm gonna somehow stop this live. Have an amazing Christmas if you celebrate. Enjoy the solstice, enjoy the festive season, just enjoy this very kind of feminine inner time. Take some rest if you can, stay hydrated, and enjoy the full moon in Cancer, and I'll see you next time.